We did a double one. Do you like that? Do you like the double pop?
Yeah.
A double pop?
Double penetration right there.
Can I
It's
tell you
great.
guys before we start the podcast that I popped my one wheel tire while I was on the other side of a lake from my house?
How
So I
did
had to
that
walk.
happen?
What happens when you pop a tire when you're on the one wheel?
Well, same thing as on your bike. It's like, oh shoot, you've popped a tire on a bike before, right?
Yeah.
It felt like that. Like, oh no, I can feel my rim touching the ground. Something's wrong. So I just hopped off. And thankfully it didn't nosedive, because it will nosedive if it thinks you're taxing the motor too hard. But this, at least, it recognized so I've got a guy that I cocked to. I can't tell if he's 22 or 37. Doesn't matter to me, because he's an easy guy to go see. And I just say, hey, what's the...
He'll fix it.
Yeah. Although he kind of sold me on this tire, which maybe I use on too many city roads. Hello, welcome to Movie Baiters.
Yeah.
This is Longlegs wrong?
Okay.
Yeah, well, because
In what capacity? You gotta be more specific.
we
than
will
that.
discuss that. Movie Baiters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Nick.
And this is Kirk.
I like the way Kirk does it,
Yeah.
because
'Cause I
he
get
sounds
last
excited. Sorry?
Because they get final billing. That's why.
The final bellend?
Billing.
Final
in
billing.
a
I
film.
see.
Yeah. And starring or introducing.
Should it be and Kirk?
Yeah. I said and Kirk.
Yeah. Oh, and you did say and Kirk. You're right. So we saw Longlegs. We're gonna debate. So where I was going with is Longlegs wrong? Isn't he like Charles Manson, where he didn't kill anyone? And if you're listening to this Longlegs podcast, you either don't care about the movie or you care about the movie and have already seen it. So spoiling,
Yeah.
you
You.
he's. Thank you, brother. He's basically Charles Manson, right? Because he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They accepted a gift from him. The gift had pseudo scientific or devil powers. Somehow it divined the devil through the metal ball that.
He had the fucking phantasm ball that he was putting in the fucking heads of the dolls.
What's Phantasm Ball? Is that a movie? Phantasm.
Yeah, it's like a cult, flying spheres, little blades come out and jam into people's heads. I'm not a fan of those movies. A lot of people are.
Are they what do you call that? Roger Corman kind of things, or the way it grew out of that, where it's kind of schlocky, but it's also violent.
A little bit, but I don't think Roger Corman had anything to do with it, and I don't think Don Coscarelli, who created it, I don't think he was a Corman protege, say Joe Dante.
Oh, okay.
Or I think
Joe Dante of
James
Gremlins, I know
Cameron,
that one.
I think even.
James Cameron comes out of the Corman school
Well,
of making movies.
So I know Joe Dante did Piranha for Roger Corman in 1978. And James Cameron did Piranha 2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that Piranha 2 was also Roger Corman. I don't know this for a fact. Sometimes these things change ownership or whatever, but
My point is just that, if he didn't smash his face into the table, which was funny to me, it was not scary.
and I don't think it was supposed to be funny in there.
Well, it wasn't supposed. They didn't intend it to be funny, but
yeah.
because that's when you first see his face, and it's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that was the first time I saw it. He looks just like Michael Jackson.
Well, you heard the bullshit marketing thing they did, where she has a resting heart rate of 70 beats per minute, and I used to think 70 was bad, because when I was a kid I'd get 56.
Oh,
in the 60s.
Micah is out of shape, is what you're saying.
I'm calling Micah out. Is that what her name is?
I mean, she does breathe pretty heavily and but it's like a tactic, right? That they probably use to study your breathing in some way. How hard she was breathing in the scenes.
No. So supposedly what they did is didn't let her see Nic Cage until that scene, where she sees what he looks like, and we, the audience, see what he looks like for the first. Well, I guess we see him earlier.
You see one half of his face, or one quadrant of his face at a time in the
because he
the drugstore or whatever. He's buying his face cream or whatever the fuck he's buying.
Yes, and he covers his face with his hands and does. But again, so he's just weird, and You can't arrest stupid, as the cops say. So I think if he had not killed himself, had it gone to trial, he would get off because he didn't.
Yeah.
That okay? So we're on the same. So here's another debate point, since we all agree on like the innocence of Longlegs, who is somewhat like you. I heard someone argue you could take him out of the plot, and the plot would still work because it's devil shit with a nun.
Well, he has that knowledge, so you can't really take him out that much, because then the dolls wouldn't be possessed by the devil or something. Wouldn't really work, right?
He'd still have to be there in the background.
Yeah.
You don't need him in the drugstore buying his face cream. You don't need him singing, like bursting into song.
I liked that.
It was
Just
fun.
to be clear, I enjoyed that.
I
That's why I
enjoyed
went
it.
to the
It's
movie.
I can't think of the last time I was this torn about a movie because there are things like, well, I kind of like that, but it's also kind of stupid. Like the
And
singing.
you're like you were all like hard because this is Psycho's son, right? Osgood Perkins,
Yeah, it's not
Anthony
gonna.
Perkins. It doesn't. You're not like, ooh, the royal family. I have to root for the children of.
No, because otherwise I'd probably be overlooking things I'm not overlooking.
How
Yeah, is there a
objective-
movie you do that to?
No.
I mean, who would do that?
Oh, they're
Any
in
movie.
Superman. They're putting in what's his name? Christopher Reeve's son.
He has a character in the movie.
He's going to be at some point in the movie, kind of like how Paul Walker's daughter was in F9. Was it?
And Bill Paxton's son is in Twisters.
Where?
I don't know, somewhere.
Wait, I saw it and I don't remember him.
Well, it's probably a very walk-on. If there's some character who's probably like a 20-something dude who walks on and says like a short line, that's probably Bill Paxton's son.
I'm trying to think if he would be at the. So I don't want to give anything away about it, but
About Twisters?
yeah, well, yeah. Like, do either of you? I think Nick cares a little. Like when you guys saw Twisters as a family back in '96, that was a good time. I'm imagining.
I think so. Yeah,
I didn't
remember
see you a
thinking,
family.
like, why the fuck would you hide in a barn full of
Yeah.
knives? But that was,
That was fun.
that was like the 1996 version of Movie Vaders.
Yes. Oh, sorry, Kirk. How did you see it? I didn't mean to. I was looking at Nick,
No,
but
no
I should
worries.
direct it only because he's older than you. Only because he's the older
I
brother.
just saw it at home. I didn't see it in a theater or anything.
Same.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the theater to see it because my parents, the adopted parents that I had since we're all brothers, were like, hey, we're not taking you to this because you're however old and we think you'll freak out. I was so
Oh,
glad when I
oh.
like just started like going to movies on my own without them. The first movie I saw without them was a romantic comedy, which is embarrassing. But Longlegs, does it take place in '93 or?
I've read 93. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why. Well, fudge. So he's already said
What?
that what year it takes place in.
I read a review that said 93. Yeah, but I mean that makes sense with Clinton and everything.
Well, yeah, that's when he would have taken over after January 20th, right?
Yeah.
So, what are you torn about? Like, what? Give me like 3 in column good and 3 in column bad.
Well, like so I like so the opening scene is well done. There are plenty of things I think. Well, these bits on their own are well done, but a movie is the whole, right?
It's the sum, not the parts. You're saying?
Yeah, the sum is not as good as some of its parts. Like the opening scene, I thought was well done, liked it, and that kept happening for a few scenes. Like, oh, this scene is good, this scene is good. I started to feel like, oh, they're gonna overuse music, they're gonna overuse score when they park in that townhouse development or whatever.
Wait,
And-
when they park in the townhouse, at the
Before-
first mission where the dude gets shot in the
Yeah,
face.
before that, and they had like a cue on the score that was like telling you that she's getting her psychic sense.
Yes.
Right.
And I like you didn't.
She
need-
beat a computer. That means she's a psychic.
You didn't need and they didn't even reveal that yet.
Yeah, I know, but that's the logic of the movie.
So-
We learn in the subsequent scenes.
So they have this sound on the soundtrack. they didn't need that. I think it was a little over the top to include them. Like, ooh, they're gonna use music in ways I'm probably not cool with.
Wait, how did you feel about them using T-Rex at the beginning, the lyrics of, and then using that same song at the end? Did you notice that?
I figured it might be the same lyrics, but
Yeah, it's the same. The lyrics they have at the beginning it's the same song
Yeah.
they play at the end.
yeah, it's whatever. I mean, it seems like something someone would do.
Okay.
Um,
That didn't stick out to me. I'm not gonna like hard defend it because I don't care. This was a little Trent Reznor-y of a score, if I'm remembering right, because like it's a wannabe '90s. Like it's what Fincher wishes he was doing in '93, because he was
instead of
doing
Alien 3.
yeah exactly.
Yeah.
Given his later output.
Yeah. No, so like at that point I'm like, oh, they're gonna use music in ways I don't think should be used.
Do you have another example? Oh, keep going through the top three.
And then what's a good scene? Oh, like when she's so when she's at her it is her own house, right? She's not like traveling. She's not like renting out.
She has like a house in the middle of the woods or something.
Yeah, with big windows.
And when he was like in her house.
Yeah, big window house, Kirk.
Yeah.
And she came back, and the ink on the note was still fresh. That's kind of a cool way to show that he just wrote this like in her house, even though you saw him in the background through the window. Well done scene, but in the end, see, that's the thing. Like things in the moment and on their own can seem fine, but then once you take in the whole thing as a whole, it's like, well, why did he? At that point, you're thinking it's because she's psychic is why she's on that's why her bosses put her on the case, because she's got like psychic powers. But then in the end, like the psychic powers are kind of inconsequential and irrelevant, because when you find out that she was the girl in the beginning and she's encountered him before and they have kind of a connection that way, like and then it makes it kind of a big coincidence that she gets put on the case. And then why is he?
No, isn't she? She's already on the case, and then he starts flirting with her. Is how I saw that. Also, I thought of a point of debate that's like a.
Well, no, I'm saying it's a coincidence already that she gets put on the case if she already has a connection to him from her childhood. That is a coincidence.
That is an irreconcilable
And
coincidence.
coincidences, I think you get one coincidence in your inciting incident, like the stars align and this inciting incident happens, and then everything else after that should be because of.
But it's not a
actions
coincidence
taken
in her favor. It's a coincidence in.
Doesn't matter.
I'm willing to accept that, kind of like I'm willing to accept the musical cue. Neither of these things stand out to me. I would say. I thought of a debate point. Can I intersect here, and then we'll come back to your top points? Yeah. I think you went in with more knowledge than I did. I went in knowing very little. Kirk, how did you go in?
Completely blind.
Yeah.
Little as possible.
So how are you responding to what our brother Nick is saying?
I mean, Nick is making some fair points. It does seem kind of weird that he would help her then, because then does he want to get caught? Because eventually
it's the Hannibal Clarice thing. I saw it as like a flirtation between them. Like he's a weird guy who doesn't know how to connect with people. Like when he's talking to the woman in the store, she's kind of a similar young girl type thing. And these weirdos are always like, I heard someone saying today, we know which ones are going to be the school shooters. We should stop being polite about this. We should just go, hey, that kid's a school shooter. Have you made a list yet, Tommy? Like, stop it, Tommy. Don't do it. You're okay. Just stop being weird and put on some deodorant. Like,
yeah,
but still let him buy a gun, because that would be his rights if you didn't.
Well, he could take his relative's gun, or like there's like 3 guns to every person in this country, so there's nothing you can do about the guns. Is my point. All right, I'm sure there's many policy things or enforcing of the laws in the books that could be done. I don't want to sidetrack from that. Although, just quickly. I saw this movie before the former president, got shot through the ear, and then I saw this movie again, and like in my head it was like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm enough of a patriot where I don't want to see a president's head blow off again, because that makes us look weak to the rest of the world, and I don't want my country to look weak because I care about my own survival to that level of, you know what I mean?
Oh, you're so selfish.
No, well, yeah, but when you so I think you know how the headshots in this are really realistic.
Sure,
I
I don't
just
know. I
remember
wasn't.
that one dude.
Yeah,
that-
wasn't there just the one headshot?
Was there any other gunshots in the movie?
the mom at the end. You didn't
Yeah,
really
and
see
and that's a
the
similar
aftermath.
type, and it looked like a cross, which was awesome. I loved that. So that made me very pro the movie. Um, anyways, did you have another? So your top points are music cues didn't like. Point on the good side. Opening scene great. Point against it was
Well, so
the
they're
last one.
using music weird, and then once you take the whole movie in, the what is otherwise a well done scene on its own. I think when he's in her house, creeping around in her house and leaving the note, you look back and it's like, why? You can start to assume, but there's no like really objective. They didn't give us anything objective. You can say, well, that's why he did it.
Well, there's the fates align. There's Satan. There's all these supernatural things that could cause them cosmically to come together. That the movie asks you to buy to
Yeah,
some
but it
degree.
creates conflicts with other things they laid out because it's like, okay, well, she's psychic. Well, and then that's why she gets put on this case. Well, that's a big coincidence that she gets put on the case of a dude that she encountered when she was a child. So that's bad.
This is X-Files to me. Like, isn't this the exact same thing that happens in X-Files? Is that he eventually gets like put on the case about like how his sister got taken by aliens? out of
Yeah,
the
but
eye?
not in every episode. It's coincidental that his sister was taken
Sure.
by aliens.
So this is like if David Fincher got a shot at doing an X-Men episode, is how I would try to like kind of couch this for like my parents to watch it, because they probably would like it if they didn't watch a trailer for it and it was just you're gonna think this is a horror movie, much like Maxine and Nick's good point on our last episode. Sorry to make this a linear podcast. Maxine isn't a horror movie; it's a crime thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I threw you off your points in for and points against.
Okay, so then it's like, okay, if you want to focus on the psychic thing, then it doesn't make sense that it's a kind of a glaring coincidence that she gets put on his case, and then, okay, ignoring the psychic stuff. Well, then, why does he leave the letter with her? Why does he want to get caught? Why does he smash his... All these things kind of lead into...
This movie is a pastiche. It's just because it's cool. And I would say either that's cool for you or it's not cool for you. Since you're asking the question, that's my immediate answer.
There's only so much I can take where the explanation is like, oh, this is just because it's cool. Like, I can take a little bit of that.
So that's why I made the argument last week against X, which is a movie I love. In retrospect, I've loved more because I've watched Pearl, because I've watched Maxine. I made the point to Kirk earlier that the existence of The Wolverine makes The Last Stand better, which is universally seen as not a good X-Men movie from the director of all three of the Rush hours.
Banana?
Wait, why'd you say it like
Yeah,
that?
what was that?
Because when I look at him, I just think,
Oh.
banana?
Okay.
Wow.
He's the guy that sent a short to Steven Spielberg, and then that was his entree into Hollywood.
Wow,
Must
it
be
was so
nice.
easy.
He got
Yeah.
Matued, though, so screw
He
him,
got
I
what?
guess. Matued?
What's Matude? Oh. Why'd you say it like that?
I'm not going to explain it. It's dumb.
Uh,
Sorry, so do you have two more points, one for and one against? I feel like you've hit one on each side so far. Wait, did you only do one good one?
Well, I'm like, it's more complicated than I'm saying.
'Cause you
Here's-
keep
here's a
saying there's good
thing that's
scenes,
on its
yeah.
own, and then in the context, once you take it all in, it's like, well, this doesn't work. I don't know, like, on its own, the scene of him going to the drugstore is like well done and creepy, but then in the full context, like, why did we need that? Why did we need him in the car yelling, "Mommy!"
Oh, wait.
Daddy!
I
That's
actually
strange.
needed the context of him because when he kills himself and the plot revolves so much around him having done all this, him having to put these dolls together and stuff, whether or not I believe the devil is real
Yeah.
in the movie, like, I'm not sure I know whether or not the movie believes the devil is real, but I know it believes that evil is real and that maybe this guy is able to do, like, summon some sort of evil through this weird psionic device he makes.
That part I think is pretty objective because of the ending scene. Like her boss turns evil, kills his wife.
But they have the thing in the house, the doll, which is basically like, it made me think, it's again because this movie is pastiche, it made me think of Annabelle and
it
what
made
other
me
one?
think of Conjuring 3, where they were leaving cursed little totems under the house.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was possessing everyone. And, but no, like that seems pretty objective that something was evil about the dolls, because how else do you end up with over 30 years, however many families he did it to? I forget the number, but like, you know, that would be too big of a coincidence if there wasn't something supernatural, whether it's the devil or just something else, something supernatural.
So the reason I needed him in the car screaming that way is because I relate to that, and then so it helps me relate with the bad guy. And then the other thing was he had a weird interaction with it helped me see, like, what is this guy by himself and what is this guy in the world he lives in?
Sure.
Dad, the weirdo's here again.
Yeah, which is the director's daughter, by the way.
Oh wow.
Good for
I
them.
know that.
Yeah.
The grandchild of the killer.
That girl's the grandchild of Norman Bates. Yeah.
Norman Bates' granddaughter. We've had 2 Bates references in the past 2.
Yeah.
Because this is a Norman Bates movie baiters
Oh, what
podcast.
if we bait Bates?
Yeah,
We
that'd be
can
pretty
bait
funny.
Bates.
If we should do like a run of like the Psycho sequels.
Recently, I was listening to Bill Maher talk to Malcolm McDowell, and he was talking about how, like, Hitchcock movies are boring because
Some of them are.
Yeah, some of them.
were you the one
Fucking
bitching about the
terrible.
birds last? Yeah.
Birds is fucking terrible.
I want to watch Psycho
Vertigo
again.
sucks ass too.
Which one? Vertigo.
Vertigo sucks ass.
It takes a
Vertigo is
while.
that's again. This is where, like, I have a friend, Matt McCullough, who loves. I mean, he won't care about me saying his name because he's a very public person. He's a magician and a concierge, and now he works for a Game of Thrones guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, God bless. You know, I have no qualms against Game of Thrones guy, but he loves Vertigo. The reason I saw Vertigo is because I went to an Upper Midwest theater, like a historic one, Columbia Heights, Minnesota, and saw Vertigo. And it's such a weird movie that I imagine, like, people in Mad Men times watching it and going, were they on drugs? You know, because, like, the drugs get weirder. Like, they get a lot of coke between late 70s and the early 80s, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, before that, it's like pot and psychedelics. And then they take Charles Manson and they MK Ultra him and go, hey, you know, now do this to other people. And, you know, I guess I don't know to what degree we're supposed to accept that Charles Manson got, you know, we know that he was in government programs where he was given drugs, kind of thing.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah, there's MK Ultra is a program you can look
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm making the argument for Longlegs that he didn't commit any crimes, but you just accepted that from the beginning.
Well, it's true. Yeah, on paper he didn't. Yeah, he didn't. Unless the FBI was gonna start believing in the devil.
Yeah, but I mean, Manson was convicted for conspiracy to commit murder. I mean, technically
Yeah.
they could charge him with that.
And he was, like, found guilty of first-degree murder.
Well, but
there
he
is
had
that
human
caveat.
people telling, "Go kill the pigs." You know
Yes,
what I mean? And
but he was still convicted by a jury of his peers of first-degree murder. So essentially, he committed the act of murder.
well, because
even
he
though he didn't
was saying
physically do
specifically
it.
go to. Whereas this guy's putting dolls, and then later on, it's not even him. It's a woman. A woman he made a deal with, posing as a nun, going and putting dolls in people's houses. So he's,
Yes,
which also, like, okay, he still has to make the fucking dolls. But then, how does he give the dolls to her? We didn't see that. Like, I'm just.
Well, I
so
thought
convoluted.
it was that he lives under the house, right? He lives in the basement of her mom's house.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Really?
Really? You think he lives in the basement of I haven't heard that theory. I like
well,
it.
the shots are
So,
aren't they correlated?
um,
Like
I do not have a good answer for you. I was going to go with what I heard was that because the culprits of the murders are the fathers,
Yeah.
whereas this girl doesn't have a father, because she doesn't have a
Right.
father, he couldn't put a doll in her house to kill her. So instead, because she came in the presence of the devil through Nicolas Cage and his evil devices, she then gets roped into a deal with the devil. Like, well, we'll spare your daughter from hell if you deliver these dolls. That's the deal? The
I
nun
guess.
mom thing she made. I'm just gonna call her nun
No,
mom.
I thought the mom just made the deal because she didn't want to die and she didn't want her daughter to die. Not that
I
the
thought, but
father was
specifically go to
missing.
hell, because it's like Drag Me to Hell, where it's
Eh,
like
I don't know.
you're gonna go to hell if you.
Well, she might have believed that because of she was like, a Christian fundamentalist, but like,
Yes.
yeah,
They were out in the middle of nowhere, and where does this take place? It takes place in Washington or Oregon, doesn't it? Because
Yeah,
it's
Oregon.
Pacific Northwest.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, again, X-Files. Doesn't X-Files take place in the Pacific Northwest?
I think so.
Yeah, this is just David Fincher doing an X-Files, and like that's a great pitch for a movie, and this movie was essentially a pastiche of that. I could make arguments for how all the pieces fit together, and I'm sure the director could too.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think like there are a lot of the scenes on their own I like. It's the overall where I'm like, well, why did you even need like okay, I feel like the whole like long legs, like the look, the appearance I think was pretty gimmicky. Like why did he need to look
Well, that's
that
just
way?
because glam rock and rock at like the late '70s and early '80s was like a how do you put it?
Well, the hair and everything.
There was like a
sure.
lot of devil shit though, and it's like
yeah.
this guy glam rocked so hard he like met the devil, and then the devil used him as his emissary to make his.
That's a
metal.
fine backstory. I don't mind that like the
But that's
theoretical
in the
backstory.
movie. The movie says, or like the movie more or less kind of gives you that impression by, I don't know.
Well, I
The-
don't think they ever came out and said that. I don't mind. I would accept that as a backstory for him.
Well, then why else would he be singing the songs? And
Why
like
does
he's
he
aware
why
of
does he love
he's aware of the
T-Rex?
music, I would say.
Yeah. He's singing T-Rex. He listens to T-Rex on his way to the drugstore. But no, I'm just saying that the whole face, like what's going on with his face? They went out of their way to make him, like, and his hands aren't white because when you see his hands in that opening scene, his hands are normal color, but then when you see those 3 frames of him leaning into frame before they cut to the title, you can see the contrast between his hands and his face. Like, I just think I feel like that was driven more by like, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if we made him look really fucked up and we got a really well-known actor to play him and that would be a big marketing thing and we won't show his face and that.
Well,
like,
Nick produced it too.
he didn't have. So
Well, I
Yeah,
assume he
was
had
that-
some, he had some managerial decision making in that. So it's like
maybe he's part of it, partly to blame. I don't know. I'm just saying whoever made the decision, and I'm saying like I don't know if that was like. There are plenty of other villains who have managed to be scary without being just randomly fucked up looking for no explanation. Like, we don't know what happened to this guy.
Well,
Or if he
that's-
had like a lot of bad plastic surgery or something like that.
I've got a counter. Then it's the Joker argument. Like knowing how the Joker got his
the mouth scar.
the mouth scars makes it scarier to not know, and they show that in I think Nolan's kind of out of the same Fincher, like Nolan's like a more sci-fi enabled Fincher,
Sure.
and because of his brother probably.
But I would argue Joker had a reason to do that, though. We know why he looks that way.
We don't know why because he
he's-
cuts it himself.
Yeah, he does it himself. He's
But
crazy.
he tells all
he's-
these. We assume that of him. We do, the movie doesn't like. What we're talking
not
about, The Dark
outright.
Knight.
Yeah, I've at least seen that.
Yes, I know you've at least seen. That's why I would say Logan is on the Dark Knight level. You should see Logan, and I saw Longlegs 1.5 times. Did you guys catch when I fell asleep?
We
we
you
heard
snoring,
it.
Yeah, I think the whole theater did.
Really?
Yeah. It was pretty loud
You
that
can
time.
hit me if I like. I had already seen it, and I knew which parts to stay awake
Well,
for.
you want me to look at you every time, I'm gonna miss the movie. I
No,
try to stop you from sleeping.
Well, no, you don't have to, like, if I'm disrupting through my, slumber. I've slept in so many movies and, like, I just know that that's the best sleep. That's sleep I needed.
That's good to hear.
Do you guys get enough sleep?
I did, yeah. To watch the movie, yeah.
No, I mean, like, in general, are you getting enough sleep?
No, not at all.
Do you think she was getting enough sleep? Because,
Who?
like, does she have a touch of the tism? Or is...
The character or the
Yeah,
character, right?
Yeah.
I think the character definitely does.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
like
in
she's
her
on the
mannerisms.
spectrum?
Yeah.
What?
It was through the mannerisms of her character. I thought that was kind of obvious.
Are we
How
allowed to
she
call that
acted.
stuff out? Or like, inquire about that?
Why not? I mean,
Yeah. But we're on she had a touch of that. Somebody in our band says touch of the tism.
Yeah.
And I like that as like just a folksy way of people going, oh, he's got a touch of the tism. Just, oh, okay. So she's really into the data and she's going to come back with some good analysis. Got it. Thank you.
That's another point, though. That's another point of like things that overall don't work. Okay, she's psychic.
Or does she have just
and
have
that's
a touch
why,
of the tism?
and that's why we're gonna pull her onto the case. But she needs to get out the book, The 9 Circles of Hell, and do all this tracing of shit to find a pattern. Like she can tell when random dude they're looking for which townhouse he's in just by hearing the weird wah, wah, wah on the soundtrack.
Her psychic
Right?
abilities.
Or she's not hearing it. But
See,
we're hearing
it's
it.
because she
Wah,
was
wah,
around.
wah,
It's because her
wah.
mom was around the psychic balls or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I'm
those
not
things were.
questioning why she's psychic. I'm just saying if you're gonna have her be psychic, then there are other things. Then have it be consistent, and like she's not going to need to. That would take the place of some of the investigatory stuff she does. And she wouldn't, if she can just tell, oh, the guy's in that townhouse, not that one that looks just like it, and be right. Why does she need to go through this book and do all this tracing and find this pattern and this diagram and figure out the numbers? I think it revealed some like key numbers, and that's where she knew he was going to strike again.
So to some degree, this is a professional doing their work, and they're showing us a professional doing their. They're not explaining it to us because it's like you just have to trust that they're trying to show us the work, kind of like in fucking the Seven movie when they go to the library. It's like it's their version of her going to the library. But here's the problem I have. The whole time you were talking, I was wondering if like bro with the no body fat who rides with her and gets shot in the head.
Oh yeah,
Do you think he wanted to bang her?
I'm sure he did.
sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure,
both
yeah.
thought- you both thought it.
But no, we're getting off topic.
Because he
like,
smiles.
Sure.
Okay, continue. Okay, there's no debate, so there's nothing to
Well,
continue.
no, there is because Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman aren't psychic.
Is that your
Yeah,
Morgan
they're not
Freeman
psychic. That's what I was
impression?
gonna say too. They're not psychic.
They
Why
have to
make
go to
her
the library.
psychic if she could solve it like a regular detective? She's just solving like a regular detective.
Because,
What's the psychic
she's not.
aspect?
She's like a superhero, and like this is a movie character, so we're gonna like just pull from every other genre. She's a superhero, but her superpower has limits. Her kryptonite is that she's not super. She's not, what does Blair Underwood say? Who's great in this movie? I'll take half psychic over full psychic any day, and that's not a Blair Underwood impression. I'm just trying to give some put some respect on what he said.
full psychic.
Well, I don't really know if it does it ever come back up. Do we see her use her psychic
Well, see,
abilities
that's the
again?
thing. That's a good point because when a movie brings something up for funsies in the early part and then they drop it and then it's like
Where
No,
did it go?
I would
that's
put
not
this
good
in.
writing either.
I put this in the bucket of I don't know that the movie believes there's a devil. I just like I don't know if like they suggest that she is psychic, but does the movie believe she's psychic? I'm not sure the movie believes. I think the movie intentionally doesn't tell us if she's psychic or not, but shows her doing the work you assume someone that does that kind of investigative work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That from that Brett Ratner movie.
Yeah, but what's the point of the presentation test or whatever they do? That's to kind of see that maybe she is psychic. She
I don't
sees
know
the
what
cards
the fuck
coming.
that was. That just made me think of Blade Runner.
Yeah, like
Well,
a
and
Turing
but
test.
the only reason for that scene
Yeah.
would be to like drill home, like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she
Well,
knows
they
something.
explain in the that's like what gets her to get to work with a hotshot like Blair Underwood, who's like the fucking man, right?
But
Is
to that
because she
logic,
passes this bullshit Blade Runner test.
but the movie does tell us, in a sense, that she is indeed psychic. You give us
She
like
beat the
two
computer.
beats, yeah.
Well,
You give
I
us two different beats to show us that she is
They
psychic
they
or something.
they judge the supernatural by the technical, which is kind of weird.
I
Well, you
give
beat a
more. I
computer.
give more weight to her knowing the house that the guy is in
Yeah.
the townhouse, because how the fuck would you know that? Just there's
She
nothing
put the
else to
work
go on.
in and knew like
No,
which
there's
one.
no work. No.
She saw the window open
So what?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah,
because
that's more significant to me than passing it than
like
acing
clearly
a
you're the
test.
serial killer in your neighborhood because your window's always open. Wait, you can't do that anymore because that's not your room.
Yeah, no, but
It's your
no,
roommate's room.
but
Sorry.
that doesn't seem like that. Seems more blatantly like, oh,
Like she could just be
Oh,
lucky.
it's that house.
Yeah, she could just be lucky. It could be a coincidence, kind of like you're saying. And you can do one coincidence in the.
But they put so much emphasis on that, and with the soundtrack and everything. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, it's that house. Like, they were definitely trying to communicate that. Oh, she's got like a psychic power. That's how she knows what house it is.
And then they even make a point that she doesn't reveal how she decodes it. She just tells her boss, "Oh, I was looking at it for a long time," and he takes it at face value because he knows or he suspects her to be psychic.
Well, we see her looking at like all the pictures and stuff, so she has to be doing something.
Yeah,
And
but the
it's-
coding. The problem with that is the coding was given by him, the serial killer. Not that she actually did the work, quote unquote. She was given a manual on, figuring out the rest. But that's about it. And then he takes it at face value. Oh, yeah, it's your psychic ability that helped you crack this code when we couldn't do it, right?
It's because they're not fucked up. She's fucked up, and they're fucked up. So like they're fucked up. The broken part in them attracts the broken part in her, and like it's not that she's specifically broken. She can fix these guys,
Well,
but she doesn't. She fixes them by
So I
putting
think
them away.
I bottom line, I think you could have gotten rid of the whole psychic angle. You didn't really need it. But if you're gonna have it be relevant and impactful all the way through the end. Don't just use it for a little while, and then abandon it and like, oh, okay, we're done with that. We don't need to. It got us this far.
So you
have-
heard? Okay,
Like,
wait.
so I would say, like, if you're gonna, like, I would say, I'm big about, like, okay, if you have a protagonist, like, why give the audience a good reason why this person is the protagonist, right? Like, why are we viewing the story through this person's lens? And that could, like, a lot of the time, or one of the ways to do that, I think, is like you give this person an ability that makes them uniquely equipped to deal with the villain, if it's a story that has a villain like a horror.
The villain is
thriller.
her mother. We agree the villain is her mother and not Longlegs, as the movie
I'd
is
say it's more
titled.
Longlegs. Is
You say the villain. Okay, well
Yeah,
let's
for sure.
table that.
For
but
her,
continue.
Yeah.
personally, I think her arc had more to do with her mom. Longlegs was a more overall villain.
I've got to come back on like why her, and then why she's like just generally the protagonist is the best like person for us to relate to the story from. That's why they're the protagonist, right? So taking that, so I think I can make you relate to her specifically in a way that only I would know as your brother. That's so gay. Sorry, I love you in a was that Philadelphia? Is that what gay? Anyways,
The Tom Hanks one.
no,
Yeah, the cancer?
like
That's so depressing.
the Latin root of philos, the word like the Philadelphia, like it comes from brotherly love.
Oh,
That's what it literally means. Is the Latin is brotherly love.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So it sounds
okay.
homosexual because we are both brothers.
Okay, so
Oh,
what I was saying. Was,
So what? No, wait, no.
I
What
didn't finish,
so
though.
wait, I didn't finish how it relates to you. So she takes all this information in, and then she needs to do like processing in the back of her head, and like we see her taking the information in, and we don't know if she's half psychic, as Blair Underwood calls it, or if she is like using her touch of the dism to put the data together and find the thing that no one else could find because she's a beautiful mind, Russell Crowe. That's what I think. She's Russell Crowe in a beautiful mind, and we're just supposed to accept that all these numbers on the board, she stares at them for a while, makes science.
Well, okay, I still have a problem with it because in the end, what does he do? He turns himself in. Did she get him to turn himself in with her? Like, what was her? What, like, I want to see protagonists where they have like they're uniquely equipped to deal with the villain, and that actually brings about. It's consequential, and whereas when someone, so I mean, here. You could look at an example of a good movie, which is Seven, and where the villain turns himself in that movie. Like, did Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman get him to turn himself in? No, it kind of seems like that was the plan all along. So you could even fault Seven for that, maybe.
You stalked yourself. You just baited yourself from it's a good movie to I don't know.
Into like, well, that's a problem. It's a good movie, but like, no, I'm never like it's hard to unless it's Night Swim. I'm like
Yeah.
well, it could be. It's
one of the greatest cinematic achievements
a little
of
bit
the
good.
year.
There's good and there's bad. Seven is mostly great, but that's like I think that's a.
Seven is mostly great. Yeah.
That's one. If I had to pick a flaw with it, it'd probably be that. But like. Because it ties into the whole thing where the protagonist should be active and not passive. So, if in part of making them active is like, and also justifying why they're the character who we're following through this story, and they're the character whose perspective we're seeing the story from. Why should be? It's usually because they're the ones who it's one of two things, or you can do both. There could be other examples too, but like they're uniquely skilled to take on the villain, and also their position in the story and the stakes that they have are unique to them and like can speak to whatever theme they're trying to convey. I think they're trying to do it, the theme with her and her mother in this movie. So I think they're trying for that. But it's like I think the psychic stuff doesn't come into play because it's all about this being about something that her mother. There's definitely a theme about her like kind of escaping from her mother's whatever, that for her personally makes the mother more of the villain for her on a personal level. But that what that means though is that you didn't need the psychic stuff to make her the best character to view the story from. View the story you already have it where it's like she's the best person to view the story from because she's an FBI agent who encountered Longlegs as a child. There's still the whole coincidence part, like why does she end up getting put on this case? But if you ignore that, it's like, oh, she's the best character to view this from because she survived a Longlegs encounter.
I think you're trying to explain the Force to some degree. Kirk will explain that to you. But I think her ineffable quality is just that it can't be explained to some degree, and that when we hear explanations of it, they're somewhat off from lots of directions. In the sense that when we call it half psychic, or is there, like, the movie kind of makes us question, is this supernatural, or is this a series of events from deeply fucked up people? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but again, the argument is that they shouldn't have made it such a big deal in the beginning of the movie. This is why she's brought on. If it doesn't matter, then just introduce her in a regular, normal way. Why would you
make a big deal that she catches a killer? Because
off the bat?
We see her doing the work later in the movie. I would assume, because the movie told me that she already did that work, but they didn't show us that first because that's not interesting. We have to see the results of her having done that work. It's like how we have to see at the beginning of the movie the results of the last heist, like, or something like, oh, they're pulling a heist right at the beginning, or it's how the last heist went wrong, or like the last mission in Mission Impossible when his whole team died, and then we build up to the next big mission at the end of this movie. So the thing we were seeing at the beginning of the movie was the end of another movie in the sense that it was all, the first 10 minutes is a compact piece of what the next 90 minutes are going to be. And that was okay. We didn't see her doing all that work, and then she figures it out. But
I don't think she did all that work. She gets it off the bat, and then the next scene, literally, the next scene is she's being tested, and then after that, she joins the new team to find Longlegs.
is she FBI at the beginning of the movie, or is
She's
she
already
Yeah,
FBI.
she's FBI.
she's already
Yeah.
proven to be a special person? Because if you're an FBI agent,
Yeah,
it's
she's FBI
like
quality.
Clarice Starling. She's
Yeah,
she
no,
is
she's already FBI.
she's already she's
It's
a
just,
special.
It's just what gets her on the case. Here's what I would have suggested to do differently. Because the psychic stuff in the end, even though they dwell on it well into the second act, it doesn't end up being consequential as far as bringing about the climax. Like for one thing, like I said, he turns himself in. He didn't turn himself in because she's psychic. He didn't bash his face into the table because she's psychic.
But he may have been attracted to her because of her whatever it is.
Well, but
He
you
didn't
have
turn
that because
himself
of the
in,
childhood
technically.
encounter.
Yeah,
But was did he encounter her because of her did her? It's a nature versus nurture thing. Like, is she special because her mom made this deal with the devil, which would be a nature thing, or is she special because she had this weird interaction with Longlegs at the beginning of the movie, a nurture thing?
No, I would argue no, because he would allow the children to live. If he has that much of a fixation on maybe if he's like a pedophile and he has that fixation.
It's different than that because he targets these families who had birth dates that were on the 14th.
Yeah, so then it's not that he likes her, that he turns
Well, let me
himself
finish
in
here.
then.
Is that the other families had fathers where he was able to enable the killing. She didn't have a father, so he is I think he's attracted to her as like a father figure, not as like a romantic figure. Just to since I made the Philadelphia comment earlier, and the reason she's able to find these killers is maybe because she can't fix the hole in her heart from not having her father there.
I
It's
think
still
you're
sloppy.
giving
The
it
whole
a little
thing-
too much credit.
Yeah, there are, and some of this I feel is we're at the razor's edge of, are we trying to? And can you explain what explaining the Force and how medical? Yeah,
Alright, essentially the Force is an invisible energy that Jedi's can channel.
don't explain
I
the
knew
Force. No,
that.
no, that's not what I
Yeah.
meant. I
What
meant
do you
in
mean?
the sense that the reason people said the defining reason as to why Episode 1 is bad is because they try to over-explain the Force. There are things that can be over-explained, and there are it's better to have things inferred than to over-explain things in a movie. Wouldn't you say? In general.
Yes, but that isn't this. This
Yeah, that's
isn't-
not what we're
yeah,
talking about.
that's
We're
not the
talking
case
about
here.
things that are put forward and then don't really end up being consequential in the journey to the climax.
That is this is a general criticism of this movie that I've heard because I've listened to other people talk about it, is that the parts don't you could take certain parts out and then it wouldn't the whole thing wouldn't topple. Kirk was here arguing with me that you couldn't cut down Logan to a solid 2 hours. You need that extra 15 minutes. But in this, it's well, I'm not sure what could be cut out, and what would still.
You would cut out the whole psychic subplot because you don't
Yeah,
need
you
it
cut that.
if the connection ends up being. So what I think you would do, one way I think you could do it to make it cleaner is. Well, first of all, you get rid of the psychic stuff, and she ends up on the case through. I would think. I would want it to be less coincidental, where he leaves a clue that,
Causes her to pursue it.
no, well, that makes it seem like, okay, we don't something personal about her that would bring her into it. Okay, he's mentioning you in his letter or something like that, and now he knows you for some reason, so he needs you on the something like that. Where
Well, isn't it that he brings her in by delivering her the letter, and then she brings the letter to?
She's already on the case though at that point.
What is the case there? Are we sure it's the same case when she's in the car with the lady?
They're talking about he killed the father killed whatever. It was the last. It wasn't even maybe the most recent one. I guess it was.
It's a murder suicide. They're seeing a pattern in murder suicide.
Yeah.
So here's part of what I think this is because the FBI is such a bureaucratic institution that for this movie to work as a procedural and not as a horror movie, the other things we've described it as, but for it to work as a procedural, she has to go through some procedure to get put on what would be considered a major case within the FBI. Hey, working on the 20 different murder-suicides that have happened around the country, that's a major case. It's continue.
Well, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is when I'm making the comparison to X-Files, part of the bullshit with X-Files is the bullshit with Law and Order is that you never get that all solved in a week. Those cases are done over months and months and years. And this movie is trying to, even though it's dealing with does the supernatural exist, gain some verisimilitude with the process and procedure that would go around being in the FBI, I assume.
Yeah, well, I'm not faulting them for having scenes that are showing the process or the procedure. I'm just saying the reason they brought her on the case, the reason they bring her on the case is because of the psychic stuff that I think they should have gotten rid of entirely. That ends up being coincidental because it doesn't really pay off. It doesn't really bring us to the conclusion later on. They drop it, and then it's not a thing anymore.
Because part of the psychic stuff is now the testing thing, right? You're talking about the testing thing,
it's the psychic,
her finding the guy, and then him going, oh, I think you're half psychic. All three of these things make up the psychic thing.
But then they still kind of dwelled on it well into the second act, because this is where me kind of knowing what the twist was at the end allowed me to actually appreciate some of the foreshadowing.
Okay.
Well, because they're sitting in the hotel bar or whatever it is, and it was mentioned he has helper. He has a helper. Who is it? A family member or something like that? And I'm like, well, I knew already that it was the mom.
Oh, you went in knowing it was the mom? Again,
I knew that.
I feel like
I didn't try to know that. I thought I was reading an article about Nicolas Cage's acting process or whatever, and they end up giving it away.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they didn't worry about spoilers, but whatever.
Constant.
So I was able to appreciate some of the foreshadowing that if I didn't know, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have positively. Who knows if I would have picked up on that as foreshadowing, but but they're still dwelling on it. Even in that same scene, she's using her psychic sense, I forget what she says, but she's giving her theory on it, and it's definitely clear that she's pulling from her psychic sense to comment on it. So they're still dwelling on it well into the second act, but beyond that, it kind of drops, and it doesn't actually sustain all the way through to the climax. At a certain point, they drop it, and now it's, I think once she solves that code or whatever with the diagram from the book, no more psychic stuff. We don't need the psychic stuff anymore. We're going to drop it, and now it's just about that doesn't bring about anything because he turns himself in. So
well, he gets caught by the police because she finds a picture of him that she took as a child.
Oh,
which I thought also was a little too much. If she has this psychic ability, why can't she see his face?
Yeah.
But she has.
You guys were ignoring the climax of the movie, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, but she has to go back home to find the chest, to look into these photos. Oh, I took a picture. Here it is. And then they find him at a bus stop because suddenly he knows he's been caught.
That's the thing. I guess I shouldn't say he turned himself in, but it looked like he was prepared to be caught.
They don't make it clear if it's because of the thing she did or if it's because he called himself he did something to get caught.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we somewhat don't know if he chose to get caught. Clearly it has to do. I would still argue it still has something to do with his interaction with her that leads to this happening, but he's been leading to this happening because apparently he wants to kill himself and
That's the thing.
What is the devil's plan in this? Because he's losing his emissaries.
Well,
If the devil exists in the movie.
Yeah, like, is there a certain number? They never established rules. Like, is there a certain number he needs to do? Why is he doing it more frequently now in the present day than?
Well, I don't believe he's actually dealing with the devil. I think he's just actually a crazy smart person. He's both a person who has gone insane in some way that causes him to make these things that kill people, but he also has to be some sort of genius engineer to be able to make the things, think of the things, and
But
manufacture
it has
them.
to be supernatural if you put this doll in a home and it turns the people, the father specifically, into a murderer. Like that's.
Can I tell you what I thought it was?
Objectively supernatural.
I thought it was the South Park fart note, or like the shit note, the brown note. Have you remember that?
No.
Where
No.
there's a note you could play that would make people poop.
But that's South Park.
Excuse me. That's hilarious.
That's
And there's
fine.
truth in comedy. And I just thought it was like, maybe there's some bullshit, like, sound wave you could put in this metal ball that would emanate and hit XY chromosomes and make them kill the XXs.
The only problem with that is that the mom shot the daughter's mannequin, whatever, copy, and smoke, like supernatural smoke, came out of it. You guys remember that scene?
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
so,
know
I
if
mean-
the smoke was supernatural and
I
not
mean,
some
come
sort of
on.
advanced form. Like, is the movie fantasy or is it sci-fi? I think you're right.
definitely
It's
not
fantasy.
sci-fi.
What?
It's definitely not sci-fi. I wouldn't call this sci-fi.
Well, like, is Megan fantasy?
That's sci-fi
Or-
because
or-
it's literally technology they're working on. There's no mention of technology.
Well, they do talk
except
about
the
who he
ball.
makes the thing. They just don't talk about, like, did he do something? Did he
Sure.
make some sort of? It would have to be. Is it a magical ball or is there something?
But they make
It's a
the
tuning
point.
fork in the shape of a sphere. Continue. Sorry.
They do make a point of the ball being the only thing found in the entire doll.
Yeah, like it's the ball,
Yeah.
not the doll. It
Yeah,
seems.
it's the ball, and he puts in the doll, and the doll's eyes. We saw multiple of these dolls. Their eyes glowing. So that's
That-
like
A glowing?
we saw the eyes glowing.
They
underneath the
opened
veil.
and
like-
shut. They glowed.
They glowed underneath the veil. Yeah.
Like you saw like the devil staring back at you. Yeah.
Oh.
So
that
that's
kind of
that's
thing.
the movie telling you
It's the devil.
Supernatural.
that it's
yeah.
super. It's at least supernatural.
Or it's the power source of the
Come on, man.
sci-fi
Come on.
ball that plays a tuning fork that makes you have the brown note of killing. It's the red note instead of the brown note from South Park. You really
So-
never saw that episode of South Park where?
no.
Oh man, you guys both suck. You should watch that episode.
So I don't know. Like they didn't need the psychic stuff. They should have had her brought onto the case. Here's what they should have done. They should have had her brought onto the case because of a specific reason to bring her onto the case. Like and it would have ruined a twist that they saved for the end. But you have experience with this person. It's not that big of a twist where you need to save it for the end. I don't feel like, especially when you're opening with it and it's not that hard to figure out.
That she's this. It's the same guy.
That she's the girl. Yeah, that she's.
Yeah.
So you could.
I think they want you to know that.
Even all the more reason they could have had that be the reason why she gets brought onto the case, and give Longlegs a reason why he would want her to be on the case if he's doing something, if it's something that he does that alludes to her that gets them to put her on the case. Give him a reason why he wants her on the case, but there was no reason why he would want her on the case. Why he's leaving a note for her in her house. All he has to do, it seems to me, is just to continue going about his making dolls, and the mom's going to deliver them, and that's all he has to do. So why does he take this side quest and leaving a note in her house? It doesn't make any sense. The scene itself is well done, but it just doesn't. When you analyze it against the whole, it doesn't make any sense.
Why did he get in contact with her?
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense to me.
It's because Well, like the devil made him do. Like, couldn't the
That's-
argument for all these things be the devil made him do it?
That's
I'm kinda going the
that's-
other direction of my
that's
sci-fi
too easy.
argument now.
That's too easy. Like you could say that, but it's like if we go that easy route, then everything in every movie always makes sense.
Yeah.
Now suddenly we're simping for writers who don't do the work
No.
because they get absolved of all of their laziness because
How about our appetite for serial killers? Like with say Ed Gein or what are the other Wisconsin serial killers like
Dahmer?
Jeffrey Dahmer? Yeah, like we don't know why they did the things they did. Like we can try and assume, but like maybe there is like the movie is asking this question, making us sit with a thought of, or this is something I walked away thinking is like, is it that the world is specifically evil and caused this thing, or there is some extra natural evil that then causes these types of things? I think the movie is asking that question, like, did these things happen because Christian fundamentalist nun mom came across Nic Cage, who's very bright, clearly, but also wild, crazy, and like he's just a sick person, right? Like he's a Jeffrey Dahmer type or Charles Manson or
Yeah, but I would argue serial killers don't want to be caught though. He kind of
they do,
right? I mean,
like the Zodiac flirted with the police, and I think it's because they have some sort of like, is it? And again, I don't know. This is where my relationship to reality is what I like reflected in movies. Is it there's some extra natural evil that made this person specifically evil, or is it that they were nurtured wrong, and much worse, natured wrong, like bad breeding led to this? I can't accept that as a conclusion. So it has to be that people get fucked up by the world, and is it just the worldly fucking up, or is it there's some extra natural fucking up that leads to these types of situations? That's why I'm not I'm not getting stuck on these like, well, why did he write her the note and stuff? I don't know, because he's a fucking weirdo. And I don't need to understand the weirdo to some degree, because what we know is that he is working to do something he knew would cause people harm.
oh wait, then it's kind of like each point is contradicting each other because if she's psychic, then make her psychic and don't give her the code. Don't have him deliver the code to her, go with the psychic thing, and let her figure it out through her, whatever, channeling that psychic energy. Then you solve that issue of him wanting to turn himself in, and we don't need a reason for him to turn himself in. He gets caught. This is how it happens. I use my psychic abilities. I use my psychic abilities again and remember you as a child in some way. Oh, I remember your face. She gives it to a sketch artist, and then they catch him at a bus stop or whatever, or what have you, and then it would make more sense.
My theory with the psychic ability thing is that the movie didn't intend that to be like, oh, it is psychic ability. They intended it as a misdirect. To some degree, that's been my argument, is that the movie intended you, like, and it's somewhat a mystery. So you're intended to think, oh, it's going in this direction, and then when it zags.
Oh, hey, why do you think it's not that? Why do you think she's not psychic?
Because I think she's just, by nature, somebody who is, what are we supposed to call people on the spectrum who like studying things and getting involved? I think like there is a real world, non-supernatural explanation for that part of it. And then there's the nurture piece they gave me, that she ran into this fucking weirdo back when she was a kid in the 70s.
And I'm saying pick one.
And technically she doesn't remember.
The point of the movie is that it's asking you to ask yourself, did this happen because the devil exists? Which you guys are, you are of different faiths than I am. You don't believe the devil exists, do you?
No, but
I do. But
I think the issue is that the movie clearly makes it seem like the devil exists. In this instance, in this movie, he exists because Nic Cage is using his knowledge of, cults and devilism worship or whatever.
He wrecked so hard in the glam rock era.
Yeah.
He met Satan.
And he puts this evil spirit into the dolls to complete his ritual. So the movie is by far saying that yes, this is a movie about devils, and he is channeling that.
And it worked. Like he's
Yeah.
done it 6, 7, 8 times over 30 years, and it's worked every time. Like that's overtly saying, yeah, there's a supernatural aspect, devil or not. There's a
Well,
supernatural
there are
aspect.
serial killers in our reality who have killed multiple parties over.
But we know no, this is different because we know that it's the father of every individual family. There's not a serial killer doing it. They specifically say it's the fathers in the family of each of these families who did the killing. There's someone else there who left to know it, but he didn't do any of the killing. So what grounded in reality, non-supernatural method can you do over 30 years where you're gonna make the father of a family kill the mother and the daughter? Like there really is nothing.
Charles Manson
it's
plus
overtly-
Jeffrey Dahmer is my argument.
Yeah, but
No, he
Charles
said-
Manson met his victims, or he met people to tell
Right.
other people to do
and he
stuff
sent
for him.
flesh
Yeah.
and blood people to go kill them. It's different.
Well,
This is they are specifically saying the father did the killing.
because of a thing that's put in the house, Conjuring 3 style.
They don't know that because they're FBI. They don't believe in the devil or they're
But
not
they
looking at
find a
that.
metal ball that then makes them go, huh.
It makes them go, huh? But I'm saying,
That was my Jon Stewart huh from 2 weeks ago.
sure. But I'm saying, it's not about it. It's not the movie is not asking whether or not supernatural exists. It's because it's overtly like there is no logical explanation for it that doesn't involve the supernatural.
The deadpan nature of the movie makes me think that they at least want me to think this could not be supernatural throughout. And I could maybe the ultimate bait of this is that I'm trying to say there's an explanation for the movie that is, hey, maybe it's not supernatural. It's just fucked up people doing fucked up shit, which exists in the real world.
Fucked up shit happens, but
then there's too many coincidences that lead the people into
yes.
this.
And that's why.
If that gets me to ask if there's extranatural evil in the world, that's a good use of my time. That's how I see the movie.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean it makes for a good story or a coherent story. You know what I mean?
I thought Maxine was better than Longlegs, and that's not an interesting bait since I'm not sure. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think Maxine was better than Longlegs?
I think its goalpost its bar that it was aiming for wasn't as high, so it's easier to. I think it achieved what it was going for more than Longlegs. Well, I don't know what they were really.
Maxine had a higher bar to clear. Longlegs had a lower bar to clear. They each cleared their bars in different ways. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Longlegs is
metaphors,
aiming up here. Maxine is aiming here.
Oh, you think Maxine? You're using hand gestures on an audio podcast.
Yeah.
Maxine's aiming lower than Longlegs.
Well, they just didn't. Again, like I said on the thing about Maxine, it's about how you end something. If you throw a scene in at the end that makes it seem like we're supposed to be witnessing the end of some arc, then we're gonna feel like, or I'm gonna watch it and feel like, okay, well, they're telling me that this is significant.
Wait, okay. What do you think the movie thinks the protagonist's arc is? Because I'm not sure.
That was my whole argument last time. Is I don't know. They make it seem like she has an arc, but she really doesn't.
Oh, Maxine.
And so the fact that they
yeah,
have
but
this
let's
scene,
focus on Longlegs. What do you think? Okay.
No, well, see, it's clearer to me in Longlegs. She escaped out from under her mother.
Yeah, so the arc is that she needs to identify that the real harm in her life was her mother.
Something along those lines. It seemed more obvious. That seemed more obvious than any sort of arc in Maxine, because Maxine didn't seem to have an arc. And so they were aiming for something because they tried to make it feel like she had an arc by adding these scenes, especially the scene at the end right before the credits rolled. That scene has weight to it where it feels like it's supposed to be significant, but it's like you're just picking a fancy word out of the dictionary and saying it, but you're not forming a sentence with it.
The
No,
scene
like,
at the end of Longlegs?
no, Maxine.
Maxine again. Okay.
Where she's like they're lingering on her, and she's like, "I want to be a star. I want to last
Oh,
forever."
because like someone listening to this might not have seen Maxine. You might be
That's, too bad.
focusing on.
Yeah.
How are you relating that to Longlegs? Is what I'm asking.
Well, I'm saying that the bar wasn't quite as high because they're emulating like an '80s like giallo crime thing, and Longlegs is going for like super elevated
Neo noir crime thriller with
Um,
supernatural elements.
Yeah, and the style you can just tell they're aiming for like a very elevated bar that Maxine wasn't. On the other hand, though, Maxine was trying to elevate a little bit by having an arc, but I don't think they pulled it off because the character didn't have an arc.
Okay, so I just need to like adamantly fight back here on like the the cinematographic goals of the movies are different, but I'm not going to say that 90s like because it's clearly a 90s aesthetic of like how movies were made in the 90s. There aren't like the kind of digital camera work you would see now in the movie Longlegs, right? And then to the same point, Maxine is going for something that was done 10 years prior, well, 8 years prior to Longlegs, which was destined for VHS ultimately, like many of the Friday the 13th sequels or something like that.
Yeah.
So like just because like they're different targets, but I wouldn't elevate one or the other is kind of what I'm trying to argue here. Does that make sense?
I guess I'm just saying like I just felt like the bar was lower with Maxine, so it was easier for them to hit more of the boxes. If you have like a row of boxes they're hitting and they're all lower, it hits more of them because they're all lower. But one of those that they didn't hit was trying to have an arc. I felt them trying to have an arc and they didn't. But overall, they hit their lower bar more than Longlegs hit its higher bar.
Longlegs had a higher bar and
It
filled
felt like
less
it
boxes.
It felt like it had a higher bar. That bar made up of boxes to tick that are all at a higher level, and it hit some of them. And
Which ones did it hit and which ones didn't?
Well, I'm not going to break them all down.
You said music, and one of the things I wanted to call you out on is that you thought of a way to improve the movie, and you were going to pitch, and you sort of pitched it, but you're like, they didn't pay me to do that. I can never do that. And they're like, that's one of the. I would like to argue that this argument of yours is stronger than other arguments you've made because you gave a counter that, hey, take out this piece, and this piece, and replace it with this piece is a stronger argument than I didn't. That was not to my taste, which is a valid thing to say. But like, if you're trying to make an objective statement about this could have been taken out and makes this better, wouldn't you agree that you having a counter is a stronger argument? Objectively
I don't think I need to have it ready at the ready just to give.
No, I didn't say you needed to. I said one's stronger than the other.
Criticism. If a movie, drops a conceit 2/3 of the way through, like the psychic thing, I can call that out.
Sure, and you have.
Whether I have a replacement for it or not. In this sense, I think it's easier to see what could be done differently. Some other things take longer. I think get rid of the psychic stuff altogether because you don't fucking need it because you already have. It goes back to saying like what makes this character unique and special. Why do you want to see the story through this character's perspective? Well, because it ends up she has a link to the villain. And she's gonna have a compelling.
That's not why I was interested in her.
Well, that's for everyone to decide. I'm
just
saying.
But like the movie, I would argue, like the reason the scene for her to see her partner get killed is so that you see her as like, oh my god, she's kind of forced to be a loner because she's been put in these shitty situations. Like the scene of her partner getting killed to me built on the scene in the beginning of her, alone facing this trauma of interacting with Longlegs. The two are, and so if you remove the second part, that doesn't that takes pieces out of her arc. That, you're again, I don't think she's psychic. I think they have no other way to discuss it in their language. So to me, it's still a canard that
there's no way that there's no other explanation for her knowing what house the guy was in.
Again, my assumption is that because they show how she catches people, how she gets closer to Longlegs, not whether or not she catches Longlegs. She gets closer to Longlegs, both because he sends her a letter, but we also see like she gets closer to figuring out the overall picture by looking at all like remember the scene where she's like looking at all the pictures on the ground?
Yeah.
And like that to me is like doing the police work. It reminded me of The Wire when they look at all the pictures on the board, and that's like real. That's how movies tell us what quote unquote real police work would look like in a visual sense because they're taking different files of information and putting them together.
So have her be really good at police work. Have her. Skill,
I think they do show us
no.
though.
Don't make her psychic. Have her skill be. I'm really good at police work because I find the details that other people don't, or something like
But
that.
that's the thing is again what I argue is that we didn't like. I would have to watch that scene over and over to. I'm sure the director intentionally put some detail in to the scene where she sees like, oh, it's this one because like they want us to make us think, oh, it's the ticky tacky houses that are all the same, but she's the special one who sees this thing that is later attributed to be being psychic, which again I don't think the movie.
If they ever gave us an explanation as to something that's not like just psychic that clued her into that's the house, which I don't think they did, either in the moment or afterward.
No, my afterward is that they show her doing police work later, but continue.
Then have her be good at police work and don't have her be psychic because they're two different things.
Again, I don't agree that the movie thinks that she's psychic. I think
it does because they don't have an explanation for how she knew the guy was in that house. It wasn't police work.
Because they didn't show us her looking at the pictures was again what I said earlier. But
yeah,
it wasn't police work that led her to the right townhouse.
I would also argue that her police work isn't that great. I mean, to be fair, the pictures didn't really show anything because there's literally no evidence of Longlegs except the writings on the paper or something. So her police work doesn't really amount to anything either.
And it's back to this supernatural, and you guys feel very heavily that it falls in the area of supernatural.
For sure.
And there's just enough for me to go, I don't know, maybe the ball is like some special invention, like a battery or whatever, that can cause people to kill people.
Whether it's a battery or whatever, like have the character have a skill that objectively leads them to the resolution.
Well, the skill is that she figures out it's her mom, right? Here she does police work to the extent that's like, wait, there had to be this other person. It couldn't just be Longlegs. And then
I mean, even
I don't
that she
remember.
doesn't figure out
Yeah,
on
I don't
her
think
own.
that
her mom
she
reveals
did
it
do
by
police work
pulling
for
up
that.
a gun when Blair Underwood's about to kill his family.
It's
Or after
before.
she's killed
It's before
Blair
that.
Underwood.
It's before that because we already know we already know by the time she's on her way to her boss's house that her mom was the one to. But even that, it's like it falls under that umbrella of the character not being a little too passive versus active.
Do you think fair argument, nothing to counter it with, do you?
No.
Do you think this is going to be, they're going to make another Longlegs, supposedly? Do you think it's going to be a sequel or a prequel, or both?
Probably a
Because-
prequel.
Really?
I'd say prequel,
yeah,
yeah.
they can go for it, but like
You think, because
they'll want Nic Cage again, and they can't do it. It's like they box themselves into the corner with the 2003 Texas Chainsaw. They had to do a prequel because we can't have a one-armed Leatherface running around.
Wouldn't it be interesting to
So-
see what she goes to next, and if she has to go back and talk to Blair Underwood, who's like in custody now and wants to kill himself, similar to how Longlegs wanted to kill himself. So like, the actions of Longlegs have led, into the future, and maybe the next one's not called Longlegs, but basically we saw Blair Underwood kill his wife, and his daughter made it.
We heard him kill her wife. His daughter survived. I'm pretty. It looked like he got killed.
He got killed.
It looked like she. I mean, she did shoot him.
Yeah, but I bet you
He
like
survived.
it could be one of
You could have him survive. Yeah, I wouldn't fault them if they
I
brought
don't know
him
if you
back
heard
in a
that the
sequel.
president got shot and he survived.
I'm still wondering how.
All right.
Don't like
Glass.
I don't know.
I mean, it just seems like a weird angle knowing where the bullets were coming from a certain direction, but like to go through here and then not hit this, it makes me believe the glass theory.
You heard the speech, right? The ears, they bleed the most. That's something we learned. We didn't know that. And he got a genuine laugh.
What did he say?
Oh, you didn't hear the speech where he talked about the ears that bleed the most? We learned something the other day. We didn't know that the ears. Yeah.
So that's why everyone needs to wear a maxi pad on their ear. Everyone's ears are bleeding.
Well, that's not what I understand the dressing would be, but that's what like you do if you had.
That's what you do when you're in a cult.
Or the actual bandage I understand to be like a wig thing, but I don't know. It's not my business. People shoot people, and sometimes they don't die. Like Theodore Roosevelt didn't die when he got shot, and maybe Blair Underwood didn't die, and now has to deal with having killed his wife. That would be narrative.
He'll be wearing a maxi pad throughout the entire Longlegs too.
Yeah, but this is okay. The problem. So does Blair Underwood's character become what in your sequel? Does he become the main character?
No. The main character is still Micah. Is that how you say it? Micah's character.
The actress Micah Monroe. Yeah. Lee Harker was her.
But then what happens with Blair's character?
Oh, he basically takes on the Nicolas Cage part where he's in a little bit of it. Like she has to go to him. I thought Nicolas Cage was going to end up being like Hannibal, where she has to go like reference him, and it's like the same evil comes back and rears its head in a different way. Because like this movie made so much money, they're making a sequel, and they already have a movie shot of a Stephen King adaptation from this director.
Oh, the monkey's
already shot and coming out next year. And now it's like, well, hey, it's Oz Perkins.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you want to do? And by the way, we're gonna make something else with Longlegs. So you've argued. Which one of you argued prequel?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So argue prequel. Get in
argue
there.
For prequel or why a prequel would happen.
Either one. I don't care.
I mean, I don't know if she escapes at the end of the movie, right? Because she's kind of stuck there. We don't know if she gets away.
I've heard a lot of interpretations that it's like Drag Me to Hell, like because they broke their bond with the deal with the devil, like she's damned now. So even though she's running out of there with the kid, like she's still fucked.
That would imply the movie believes in the devil, though.
Yeah. I'm making the argument from that direction of people believing it. I'm kind of ambivalent about most movies and like, you know, hard and fast. Like if the director came out in 10 years and said, it was actually this, okay.
See, if that's what they wanted, like there, you know, sometimes ambiguity is fun, but if they wanted to like
the Force,
if you're trying to like make a statement about something, like show us something that shows that she's damned.
Sure.
You know, tack a quick scene on that shows and set it up early on so that you have a shorthand, where you can call back to that thing and very quickly know at the end, she's damned
because the top dropped. It's not real.
You know, like David Lynch, Mulholland Drive. If you that fucking cowboy, right? If you see me once, you did well. I forget what it is. It's been.
But
years,
if you see me again, it's
tee up something like that, and then you could very quickly call back to that at the end and let everyone know, like, she's damned.
It doesn't have to be like Drag Me to Hell, where it literally hell opens up the end.
Yeah, you could set up something that's very quick to deploy at the very end, to communicate like that, because like most films and filmmakers you're trying to communicate something. Like not every one is David Lynch, not every movie is Mulholland Drive. Like
thank God.
It's kind of exactly.
The movies would have been dead a long time ago.
Exactly. Not like there's a time and a place for David Lynch bullshit. And like if every movie was that, so I don't accept this excuse for every movie where it's like, well, you don't want it spoon fed.
I don't think this was David Lynch level of, you know.
Yeah, no, like have it be there for the people who want to look for it, but have it be close enough to the surface where you can unearth it with a you can unearth it with a garden tool, and you don't need a bulldozer. David Lynch, you need a fucking bulldozer.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Let Kirk make his prequel argument.
Yeah.
You know what? After thinking about it, I don't think a prequel or sequel is gonna work that well. Yeah.
Is gonna
because the prequel he's not interesting enough. Because he's gonna be using he's gonna be using her to deliver
It's
dolls.
the Hannibal problem. Like, how do you make
I
Hannibal?
mean, I guess you could focus it on a family, but then would the family have to be evil in some way?
You're gonna
Maybe,
know what's
yeah,
gonna happen to them.
yeah, they're all gonna die anyways.
It's
So a
kind
prequel
you
doesn't
know,
work either.
you know the family's gonna die in Sinister. The same, they could do something like that,
You
or
don't really know for
Sure.
sure. You can assume. You can
that.
bet.
I think it would be sequel, and I think it's like the devil rears its head in a different way, like on another case, and now she's like got to work with new people. Like you could bring someone else in to be working in the FBI because she's still gonna be in the FBI after this.
Yeah,
and,
but
like,
that's the issue I have if it's a sequel. Does her psychic abilities come back into play? Like,
I
what's
don't think it's psychic. I think it's special devil powers or like relationship to like because her family has been touched by the damned, kind of like she was touched with the tism. She's got some like what is again not called psychic but half psychic by Blair Underwood. I think you're majoring in the minor by over like emphasizing
Whatever
that.
it is, whatever you want to call it,
Whatever her
they
special
dropped
ability
it 2/3
is.
of the way through. Whatever you want to call it, and whatever it was, they dropped it 2/3 of the way through.
Because the movie goes in another direction, which is kind of like you
And-
were saying with
and all-
Seven, where it's like the guy turns himself
Well,
in.
and also because looking back on it in the full context of the whole movie, it really was inconsequential even when they were sticking to it. It ends up being inconsequential, or it's consequential in ways that are too coincidental. The only ways it's consequential are in ways where it's too coincidental. It gets her on the case, great, but what does that bring about? And how many coincidences follow that? You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you can make something consequential, but if it's consequential
The concept of fate,
by
I
way
think,
of
would be
coincidental, that's not good.
how much can we like assume the like whatever the mechanics of fate are in a movie with the devil potentially.
That goes against fate goes against the whole like fundamental of screenwriting where the action should be driven by the protagonist's actions, and that goes totally against fate.
But again,
Fate is more like that caters more to like a passive protagonist.
yeah, and I would actually argue that's kind of a quality of noir, which we're arguing this somewhat is. We were comparing it to Seven, which is a neo noir, and then we talked about The Dark Knight. In all of those cases, like Brad Pitt doesn't save the day, and you could take Batman out of The Dark Knight, and the same shit would still happen.
no? I'd argue you can't take out the Dark Knight.
No, there's something with like Batman doesn't actually because it's like arguably the protagonist could be the Joker because he affects more of what's going on and like the DA would still go bad. Like Harvey Dent always would have gotten to that point and then been corrupted because it's like the system overall is corrupt and like is like the we're shown so much of the real world of 1993 in this movie. And why are they showing us so much of like the verisimilitude of that time, and then also showing us something that is not real?
Sure, but I would argue that the Joker, even he says that Batman completes him. So who is he gonna? If you remove Batman, or maybe I'm just taking this too literally, but I don't think you can take out Batman.
The Joker was always fated to happen, and so I guess in how it relates to fate, like in noirs, the world is fucked up, and no matter what the protagonist does, they can't fix it. And like that's kind of how I looked at this character is no, even though she's a special, and they made us think she was so special, maybe she's psychic, she can't fix it. She's fucked. The world has been infiltrated by the devil, and Nicolas Cage is a fucking weirdo. Her fucking mom, like was getting people killed so that she could protect her from going to hell or whatever the bullshit, agreement she thinks she made was. Dan, there was
I
a
don't
moment
know.
where it seemed like you were thinking about it. I had you for a second, I
like,
thought.
I mean, you can choose to do your story that way, but I don't think it's interesting.
Here's
to-
some
to
bullshit.
have like no consequences to anything.
Here's some different bullshit. So 1985 is Maxine.
Yeah.
Next week, Longlegs, 1993.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Week after that, what do we got? Twisters, 1996. Twister. Right? So we're going
Wow.
like we're working our way through like the past cinema, like not classic cinema, but like our
It's gonna
lifetime
be
ish.
like a 1996 disaster movie all over again.
Well, no, I'm just saying that was what Twisters was, and then
When's the movie with the asteroid on its way to Earth? Because then that'll take us through the late 90s.
no, this week is X-Men.
Oh.
We're getting to X-Men, which is 2000,
Yeah.
right? So we've worked 15 years of cinema
So
in
you
like
skipped
1 month.
Deep Impact and Armageddon. By
We did.
Okay.
It's kind of like having an LBJ moment and a near JFK moment in the course of a month versus.
You're skipping. I'm sure it's Armageddon.
Well,
not
LBJ stepped down in '68 and JFK happened in '63.
Yeah, it did.
It's March where he decides not to run.
Oh, okay.
And then I guess more of a 1981 when was it 81 or 82 when Reagan got shot but not killed.
I'm gonna say 81.
And then the last time a president decided not to run again was '68. I think.
But are you for a sequel then for Longlegs?
If Osgood Perkins thinks he can make another good movie and this monkey movie comes out good, I'll have some faith in him. I hadn't seen the other movies he's made. Have you, Nick?
No, I haven't.
I thought this is kind of like what I was saying about X again, where it's like it's too much of a pastiche for me to tell. Like I can see too many other movies' DNA in it, and hey, I didn't just fall out of the coconut tree. Obviously, we exist within the time.
Right, making me more topical.
No, I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself, but it does apply here because it's like they exist in a context. Is the point of that phrase, right? You exist within what has come before.
Do you just want to say the whole quote?
So you say it.
No, you say it. I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't either. I just knew that it was. I didn't just fall out. Nick doesn't know what we're talking about
No, I
at
know
all.
what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
you do. Good. In Miss Marvel, it is pronounced Kamala, which is confusing because I don't believe that's how the vice president pronounces her first name.
Well, it's a different character with a name that's spelled the same but pronounces it differently.
Yeah, because she's Pakistani and the vice president is the first Indian American senator from California.
So it's just what do you call it when it's spelled the same way?
Accent, yeah.
No.
Where's the emphasis? No.
Yeah,
Phonetic?
I'm talking about like read and read are two different words but spelled the same way.
Yes. What is the word for that?
That's what I'm trying to think.
Oh,
of.
okay. Yeah.
There's homophone, but that's when they
Homophone?
sound the same. That's when they sound the same but are spelled differently.
Oh wow. Because homo same.
Yep.
Phone
homophone.
sound. Yeah.
So it's the version of that where they are written the same but are different words and pronounced differently.
Are you sorry you saw this movie?
No, I'm not sorry I saw it. No, I liked most of the scenes. I liked on their own.
It's just when you're forced to reconcile them all together in this conversation.
I'm like, well, you really did not need the psychic shit, or whatever they want to call it. Whether it's psychic or not, you didn't need it.
Can I tell you what pisses me off is that you haven't seen the movie Pig, and we've now seen a Nicolas Cage movie that is not as good as Pig, and we've seen that director's movie in A Quiet Place Day One, and I would rewatch Pig before I would go to that movie, and I hope that when A Quiet Place Day One is streaming, I think, hey honey, let's watch Pig, which I own on disc, instead of or instead of, hey honey, let's watch Longlegs, let's watch Pig, because I don't think she's seen Pig.
Yeah, Pig is great.
Pig is fucking great. Should we end on Pig is fucking great?
Sure.
Are you gonna see? When do you think you'll see? Do you think you'll see Deadpool and Wolverine before you see Twisters, or you're gonna see Twisters?
I'll probably see Twisters first.
All right. Because the movie theaters after tomorrow are just gonna be all Deadpool and Wolverine, just to put a time in place.
They're not gonna kick Twisters out. Twisters is
no. But all the premium screens,
Yeah.
like the widescreen or the IMAX down in the suburb you go to, will be taken over by. I guarantee it will be taken over by.
I can see Twisters on a regular size screen.
You see it in a 4DX. I hear that's great.
Yeah.
I saw it in Dolby, and I didn't think it was that awesome. Like, overall, I thought it was as forgettable as the first one. Like, it will make zero impact, and no one's going to be like, Twisters is my jam, but they're gonna have to make a sequel now. And what I want to see them make a Twisters over the ocean, like a hurricane movie. Hurricane, like Twisters 3, Hurricane, or Twisters 2. Because like what sequel would it be? It'd be the third in the series.
It's the third.
Yeah.
It's like
they're gonna make a sequel
Rambo
just like
is
Longlegs.
First Blood Part 2.
Oh,
And then the third movie
Terrible.
is called Rambo 3. There is no Rambo 2. It's First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, and then Rambo 3.
and it shouldn't even exist because in the book he kills himself.
Well, I
books are
mean, you
books,
could
but,
change
like,
it for the
In the movie,
Silver
first
screen,
in
yeah.
Rambo 1, or First Blood's the first.
First
It's
Blood.
Blood is
Rambo
first
First Blood.
First
Rambo
Blood Part
3.
2. Rambo
it's
First
First-
Blood Part 2. Rambo 3, which is actually First Blood Part 3.
And then what's Rambo 4 called? It's not called Rambo 4.
Rambo.
It's just called
Rambo.
Oh god damn it.
And then Rambo 5 was Rambo Last Blood.
Yes. I
That's
like that one.
that's probably the most appropriate title of any of the sequels.
Did you like that one? Of the
I only
5,
saw
which
some of Rambo and Rambo 4 and 5. I'm not gonna call them by their stupid ass names.
I've
4
only
and 5.
seen 1, 4, and 5. I have not watched
Yeah.
2 and 3. Which is the one where he like sides with the Mujahideen? Is that what they're called?
That's probably in the 80s.
That's the third one.
I don't know. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
probably.
In one of them, he like sides with people that later we were not on the same side of, and that's why Top Gun Maverick is like.
You guys are okay. I think you got the thing on your head, but I think you're okay.
You guys just won't let me do what I gotta do because I
Wow.
want to do what I gotta
great.
do.
You got the fucking band up here, but that's okay.
Are you doing it? I love Sylvester.
Yeah.
I love Clint Eastwood more. Oh, here's the anecdote I didn't tell you guys earlier. I was watching what's in the line of sight. Is that what it's called? The one where Clint Eastwood's trying to protect the president. In the line of
yeah.
fire.
Oh.
Wolfgang Peterson, I think, is the director. The guy who
Oh.
directed Troy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I was, because it's a Clint Eastwood movie and it's old. I was like, I don't need to turn this off in front of my kids. And then the guy from The Practice gets shot through the forehead.
What?
So like
The Practice. Which guy from?
the one Dermot Mulroney. So
Or Dylan McDermott.
it's not Dylan. Is it
Derlin
Dylan?
McRoney.
It's
both
one.
of them
It's
combined.
one of those two. It's the one who was in The Practice. The ABC show The Practice that
I
was
think that
later
was
spun
Dylan.
off.
I'm gonna say that was Dylan McDermott.
Dylan McDermott.
Dermot Mulroney. We've seen him a bunch. Scream
Oh,
6.
yeah, you're right. It's Dylan McDermott.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's
Okay.
so he's
Everyone gets those two mixed up. That's why I call him Derlin McRoney.
so spoiler for 31-year-old in the line of fire. Dermot Mulroney. Wait, what?
Dylan
McDermott gets shot through the forehead, and you see it, and it's like it's not as bad as Longlegs, but in retrospect, it was like one of
You don't see the exit wound.
you don't exactly.
You just see them.
Exactly.
They have like a little button on a string that they pull away
I think
and
John
reveal the little circular like.
is that how
bullet
they
wound.
did that?
I used to watch in the 90s. Steve Johnson, the makeup effects guy, would demonstrate. Actually, they had like a horror Hall of Fame like movie awards show.
Sure.
And then they would do these little interstitials where Steve Johnson, who's like a makeup effects guy, would show how they would do stuff like that. And it was like a button on a string with flesh-colored paint on it.
Yeah.
Underneath is the fake bullet wound they've already applied.
Yep.
They pull the string, and now there's your bullet wound.
And they just go, like gauze out the string they pulled it out
Well,
on.
it's film.
out of
you shoot on
focus?
film in the 1980s. You don't see the fucking string. It's the same string, that Peter Pan's fucking hanging,
Yeah.
flitting around on.
Okay.
You don't see the string. Yeah.
I don't think it was the bullet that bothered her as much as it was John Malkovich,
Wait, who?
my eldest daughter,
Oh, okay.
because she went and hid, and that's how we were like, oh, we need to shut off the Clint Eastwood movie because
She went and hid after Derlin McRoney got shot.
it
in
wasn't
the
so
forehead.
much him; it was like John Malkovich being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get you," and it was
John
like, "Oh,
Malkovich is a fucking.
he's in costumes in that
Yeah.
movie." It's you. Have you seen In the Line of Fire?
No.
You know what movie
No.
I'm talking? Neither of you know what movie.
Nope.
So Clint Eastwood is like a 60-year-old Secret Service agent, and I don't know why I wanted to watch this movie, but I've seen it many times before, and he's a 60-year-old Secret Service agent who comes back in for one last mission because they're getting weird letters from John Malkovich, and Clint Eastwood was there in '63, and like John Malkovich is taunting him. Actually, my wife compared this movie to Seven. Oh, you're pointing at me. What?
There you go. That's why you want. There's the reason for that protagonist being the one you can follow, because he dealt with John Malkovich's character previously. So they're giving you the reason why this protagonist. He's not just some fucking new 60-year-old they hired. Never mind the fact they wouldn't hire a new 60-year-old Secret Service agent. Because he has history with the villain.
Dude, he bangs Rene Russo in that movie.
That's awesome too. But
Yeah, because it was after she banged.
I can see his face.
Oh yeah, he's got that squint on.
lovely
No,
face.
they do show them making love, and my wife was.
Oh, I'm coming.
She was disgusted. She asked at the beginning of the movie, like, "Hey, are they gonna kiss?" And I said, "Yes, they're going to kiss." But this
Wait,
was
who asked you that?
my wife asked me if
Oh.
Rene Russo and Clint Eastwood were gonna kiss. And I
I
was
said
like,
your daughter.
hell yeah. No. My daughter doesn't know who. I'm trying to. My daughter hasn't seen Lethal Weapon 3, but I'm pretty sure my wife has. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, she definitely has, because we watched it once in the screening room at one of my old apartments that we watched stuff in before. You remember? But Rene Russo bangs Mel Gibson in that movie because they start comparing scars. Remember?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was like right after that. So like to me, Rene Russo is one of the hottest women. She's Thor's mom, isn't she?
I don't know, actually.
I think she's Thor's mom.
She's pretty. Yeah, Rene Russo's pretty attractive.
Which means she's
What
married
was
to
that?
Anthony Hopkins in those movies, which is even gross. Anthony Hopkins is way grosser than Clint Eastwood. At least Clint Eastwood, he's got it going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kirk, do you agree that Clint Eastwood
I mean, I'm
has
trying to
a
think of who
You
I
think
jer-
he's a racist, be
Who-
honest.
Who have I jerked off to more, Clint Eastwood or Anthony Hopkins? I guess probably Clint.
I would have thought the Hannibal stuff really did it for you.
Every
What
time,
Hannibal
every
stuff?
time he says "get off my lawn," I just come. Gran Torino.
Yeah, no, we knew what movie you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's the movie Kirk thinks is, racist because they.
Yeah,
deal
he
with,
played one racist character. That doesn't mean he's racist
Well, he
all the time.
abhors racism.
Well, I don't know that much about Clint Eastwood then. I don't know.
I'm just saying, Clint Eastwood.
Overall, I respect him. I don't agree with him politically.
I would like to watch Longlegs with Clint Eastwood and be like, what's going on in here? Have you seen pictures of him? He's 96. His wife just died.
Oh Jesus! Really?
Yeah, she was 63. He's 96.
Well,
Oh, that's a big gap.
I know. I felt terrible.
there's like this is supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what he said to himself.
Yeah.
Anyways, this has been Movie Baiters. I think we had some great baits.
Yeah, but I don't think we went
We-
full circle. We didn't really close the debate that much.
So the baits were: is the supernatural real? You guys say yes, I say no. Is it a bad
If you're
or
gonna say
good
no,
movie?
then you got to think of it. You got to fucking come down. You got to come up with a logical explanation for stuff that happens. That seems like it would have to be supernatural. Then.
Well, again, I just think that he's what do you call it? The Manson meets a serial killer. He's like, like Manson didn't get to operate over as much time as this guy did, and like what he had was this ball I can't explain, but I can accept it as
Stuff you can't explain. Usually,
I can
people
accept
call
it as the
supernatural.
movie's logic of how he was able to get, like, it's sending out, like, I don't need the movie to, that's where I'm talking about with the Force. It's like, I don't need the movie to tell me, is it magnetism, is it the tuning for, like,
But
you get what I'm
there's no
saying?
common knowledge that magnetism makes people
Of
makes a
course.
father of a family kill people. So it's overtly supernatural. I don't think there's an argument here, unless you want there to be.
No, I don't actually care. I think the bigger baits were, is this a good movie or not? And I tried to argue in the direction of it's a good movie. Like, did you feel you wasted your time? I asked you earlier.
No. It succeeds in small durations within those small durations. On a whole, it has problems.
I can't wait for the Twisters. Like, I don't want to have a Twisters bait because I don't think that it's a banal movie. I don't. Like.
It's gonna, this will be pointless.
I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't say it's a bad time. Your parents are gonna like it probably.
Yeah.
If they enjoyed the first one, they're gonna enjoy this one.
Yeah.
It's just that it's.
Yeah, no. Well, and they don't remember. I barely remember the first one.
We've got cows.
Other than the cow and the Shining and the fucking let's hide a knife in a barn full of knives. It was just fucking stupid.
So what they're saying about this one, and sorry, Kirk, but we're not gonna have a debate about fucking Twisters. Is that Daisy Edgar Jones kind of gets blown off the screen?
What?
I didn't find that to
Blown
be the
off the
case. I've
screen?
just heard that as a take, and I was interested in it because, like, I feel as though she's in stuff that I'm not interested in, like Where the Crawdads Sing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I watched some
What
of that.
Fresh?
What?
One with Sebastian Stan. Fresh, the cannibal.
Oh, I like
movie.
that one.
I did like that
Interesting.
movie, but she doesn't stick out to me in that movie. She's like, and I guess that's kind of the problem. I don't know if that's a problem or not. She's still an ingenue.
She's super. She's like 23 or something.
Oh, so she's
fucking
just
young.
super ingenue,
Yeah.
and like, I'm kind of grossed out then by her like kissless romance with Glenn Powell because he's like 38 or something like that.
36. I think he's 36.
Okay, weirdo. Anyways, the point is that like he's in his mid to late 30s and she's in her early 20s. I guess that's Billy Crystal and
the character's that same age. Who knows? His character's probably younger. Her character's probably older.
he's a YouTuber.
Then I would hope to God his character's
Oh,
younger.
wait. Yes, she has to be because she's getting her PhD and then the movie jumps forward
she's like
5 years.
26 in the movie. I bet 27, 28.
Yeah.
Doesn't
matter.
who cares? But like.
Someone was saying that Glenn Powell isn't a movie star because all of his the things that have made him popular are pre-existing formats, like Top Gun. That was already a pre-existing format. Arguably, he led a romantic comedy, but that was more like the vehicle of a romantic comedy that was leading that. And now it's Twisters, and then he's got Running Man coming. And supposedly
Hitman.
they're working on
He got
Backdraft. Hitman specifically does like other movies within it, such as.
But it's its own movie. It's not an IP.
Yeah, I agree, and that's good.
So,
Is he a movie star? That movie didn't go to movie theaters.
who knows? Well,
The point is that
Netflix
movies are dead. Star-driven vehicles don't
Netflix
exist anymore.
Netflix movies are still
Movies.
eligible for
Oscars because they
Yes.
show in LA and New York.
well
for-
whatever it makes. them
Actually,
qualify.
Hitman did show in the Upper Midwest in a couple of places I saw. I wasn't interested in going because I knew it was going to be on Netflix in a week, and the last Netflix movie I went and saw in a theater was Land of the Dead.
What?
No,
Land of
Army
the
of the Dead. Army of the Dead.
Oh, Army of the Dead. Oh,
Yes.
It was
Fucking love
okay
that.
for one viewing. I'll never watch it again.
That was fantastic. Remember when like 5 of us got in a room? Were you
Yeah.
there, Kirk?
It was,
No, I was
It was
not.
entertaining,
Oh,
but
fuck.
it's like I'll never watch it again.
Okay, let's end this fucking episode.
Yeah,
Wait, what consensus were we supposed to come to?
I don't know.
Go see Longlegs if you want to.
Yeah, it's a good movie, despite its flaws.
Thank you, Kirk.
Putting it nicely. Yeah.
Bait hard.
Mommy,
Thanks for listening.
Daddy.